starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Aerosol! Good morning, friends, and welcome to the Shero Coffee Chat, where coffee meets conversation. I'm your host, Melissa Farmer Hill, a retired Army combat veteran and the founder of the Shero Coffee Club, where our mission is to keep the world caffeinated and women veterans celebrated. Thank you for joining us on the first day of June. Happy June. Happy payday. The 1st and the 15th, right? I think that June is the most wonderful month of the year. You know why? Because it's my birthday month. Yes, yes. I'll be celebrating every day of this month. But back to Shero Coffee Chat. Of course, we'll take a spin around the Shero resource table. We have our Ambassador Coffee campaign update for you, and of course, our special guest, all coming up right after this. All right. Welcome back. Now, at Shero Coffee Chat, we get it. Life is a journey, right? And it's definitely not always easy. That's why it's so important to just continue to keep our heads on a swivel when it comes to helping our veterans and their families. With over 16 million veterans out there, no one has all the answers, right? But together, you guys, we can absolutely do more. That's why we created the Shero Resource Table. It's a special part of our show where we share helpful information, resources, and programs for the veteran community. Because when one of us wins, just one of us, we all win, right? All right. So let me ask you a question. Are you ready to write your next chapter? Or are you ready to own your next chapter? And if you are, then I want you to join us for the fifth annual Shero Uncorked. Let's pull that slide up, Andre. Yes, the fifth annual Shero Uncorked is it's gonna be where it's at. And this Shero Uncorked for our fifth year, this is really going to be a transformational afternoon that is dedicated to just create. It was created just for you. It's going to happen on Sunday, August 31st from 1 to 5. We will be once again celebrating women veterans, but this year we're doing something a little different. We call it the Power 10. Yes, the Power 10 is where we are diving into 10 powerful pillars that shape how we live, lead, and grow. You guys, we're going to be talking about fitness, finance, faith, family, career, mental health, community, personal growth, self care, and legacy. Yes, those 10 powerful pillars that help you grow. And we're going to, not only that, we're going to be making some meaningful connections. We're going to have good food, and yes, we are going to have an open bar for those who indulge. But most of all, I want you to expect to walk away feeling seen, celebrated, and poured into. So, if you are ready to own your next chapter, bring me in, Andre. If you are ready to own your next chapter, I want you to get your ticket on Eventbrite today, and I will see you there. If you've been to the past four Shero Uncorked, I'm telling you guys, this one is going to be like no other. All right. So we're going to move right on. And I want to update you guys on the Shero Coffee Ambassador campaign. So we're going to pull that up real quick. Next. Yeah, there we go. We'll have to come back to that. I put it out of order. So, you guys, this Shero Coffee Ambassador campaign is getting really serious. Pull me in. Double. I want to see myself, Andre. I want to see myself this morning. Yes, you guys, this Shero Coffee Ambassador campaign it's gaining some serious steam. This is our leaderboard. At the top of the leaderboard, the very top and holding strong is, we got to give it up for the Marine Corps. Yes, Cynthia Miraz is representing the Marine Corps with 37 coffee bags sold. She is up, you guys, 13 bags from our last update. Thank you, Cynthia. Can we get a hand clap for Cynthia, Andre? Andre must be really tired today. He must be really tired. I need to see that slide. I got to keep talking that. Pull that slide back up, Andre. I'm gonna help you out. Thank you. Thank you. Now take me out the scene. I talked about Cynthia. Now I want to show off everybody else. All right, you guys. All right. But well, there was a tie a couple of weeks ago between Navy and Air Force. Well, that tie has been resolved. Sliding into second place is Navy veteran Jasmine Rush with 10 bags sold. And falling into third place is Air Force veteran Camille Thomas, but she's still holding strong with 8 bags. Now I want to move on to our movers. Amanda Mae McCullough, she added a bag. She brought her total in to 5. So she's got 5 bags in total. And congratulations to Nicole, who reached her first milestone, Nicole Johnson. Who reached her first milestone with 4 bags sold. And we also want to give a shout out to Shalay Morgan, Carmen Gamble, and Rebecca Fleming, who are also making it count with 1 bag. And I want you guys to remember, every bag sold supports the Benjamin O. Davis VFW Post 311 Commander's Education Scholarship, helping children, the children of veterans, chase their dreams. Now, Andre, can we go to that next slide, please? Is there one more? That one. Yeah, there we go. All right, you guys. I want to talk about how you can help us, right? We can't do it. We cannot do it alone. So, this is what I want you to do. I want you to help us support Ambassador Shalay Morgan, Carmen Gamble, and Rebecca Fleming by going online to Shero Coffee Chat or Shero Coffee Club and selecting one of their bags. We are trying to help them reach their first milestone of 4 bags sold. So it's easy to do. You can definitely help them out by just going online, selecting a bag. You can buy a bag for yourself. You can buy a bag for a friend. You can buy a bag for the veteran in your life, or you can stock up on 3 bags to help them hit the minimum of 4 bags. So yes, go to Shero Coffee Club, order their coffee bags, and let's get them through their first milestone. All right, thank you. Now, Andre, can you go to 3 vets is a charm slide and leave me in? Leave me in. All right. There we go. All right, you guys. If you yesterday was super powerful. And on behalf of 3 Vets is a Charm, we just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for helping us make history. Yes, yesterday, Women Veterans Engage Chicagoland made its first debut. And thanks to you, we showed the nation exactly what the Chicago area sister vets can do. Thank you to our attendees. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our volunteers and the host of the event, Women's Veterans Alliance. I just want to thank everybody for showing up and showing out yesterday. All across the country, there were over 800 attendees, you guys, and we gathered in over 20 host cities. But this was the first time Chicagoland was on the map, and we definitely came through with energy. We had connection, and we definitely had purpose. We had a great time. So, yes, I want to thank everyone who was in, or we, as Three Vets as a Charm, want to thank everyone who were in attendance that showed up, and the vendors were just amazing. You guys, overall, we just had a great time. All right, that is it. All right. Okay, that is it for all of our updates. Right now, I want to tell you about a special guest. And we're excited to bring her back. Yes, Jane Babcock. She's a retired Army Sergeant First Class with over uh, eight, uh, 8 years, 8.5 years of combined active and reserve service. She might correct me when we come back on, which is perfectly fine. You may remember her from the Shero Coffee Chat episode we did in March. It was March, where she shared some valuable insight on presumptive conditions and things like that, and basically how they impacted the veterans' benefits. After leaving the military, Jane continued to serve in a different way. She spent 11 and a half years as a nationally accredited county veterans service officer, helping veterans and their families navigate their claims process, which is super important. Now fully retired, Jane remains deeply committed. As I said last in the March episode, she remains deeply committed to our veteran community. Of course, she volunteers her time, and she's volunteering her time today so we can talk about uh, widowers widower benefits. So let's welcome back once again Jane Babcock.
Hello, Melissa. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again too, Jane. This I think this is so important, and if you're watching right now, I want you to share this broadcast. Make sure you share this broadcast, because one of the things. So I was a part of the VSO team at my VFW, and one of the things I knew about the benefits. I knew how to kind of just do the intake for that before they actually saw the accredited VSO, but I did not have any information on what happens to a widower or widow when their spouse, when their veteran or military spouse passes away. And it's so vital, because when that happens, it's such an emotional roller coaster, and the things that they have to navigate through as a widow. And the last thing you need is to have all of these bumps in the road, or be caught up in a lot of red tape on what to do to get your spouse's the benefits. So the first question I have for you is, as a surviving spouse, what's the first thing what is the first thing that they should do as a surviving spouse?
Well, when your veteran passes, the first thing you should do is reach out to your VSO. If the veteran has worked with a VSO before to file a claim or anything like that, reach out to them. If they never used VA, if they never set foot in a VA clinic, still reach out to your local VSO. 32 states mandate that there be a veterans service office in their county, and it's paid for by the county, which is why they can't charge you. And then they also have state veteran service offices, and most of the national organizations have someone within a 3-state area, but they could do a lot nowadays between video calls and telephone calls and fax machines and that. So those people work for the DAV, the VFW, American Legion. I was accredited with five of the national organizations. So I could represent any of the members of those organizations. And then as a state VSO, I could represent anybody in the state of Wisconsin. So
Okay.
reach out. That's the most important thing. If your veteran already used that VSO, odds are they already have that DD 214. They already have your marriage certificate. They know you're out there. My office, every obituary we looked at and we sent out a letter saying, please come and see us. You may have benefits. And that nowadays, that can mean almost $2,000 a month, depending on the situation, plus a funeral stipend and other things.
Yeah. That I mean, and like I said, I think that's very good to know because no one wants to have to go through that in the middle of their grief. What I have do have a question for the great state of Illinois. Are we one of the 32 states that what can you explain that again? One of the 32 states that mandates.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
32 states here in the US mandate that every county have an office. Now,
Okay.
granted, there are some counties in rural parts of Wisconsin and rural parts of the other Midwest, upper North states where they might have that person 2 or 3 days a week and then they go over to the next county and work the other days. So, depending on population.
Okay. Is Illinois one of them? Do you know?
Yes.
Yay! Yay, Illinois. All right. So the next question is what papers or documents should a surviving spouse gather when they go to see that VSO?
Yes. Of course, if you have a DD 214, and I mean the long copy, the one that the bottom says the type of discharge, honorable or have to read dishonorable. Unfortunately, dishonorable veterans don't receive benefits. That
Mhm.
basically is they were a really illegally behaving person when they were in service. So they're not going to receive benefits. Odds are they didn't even complete their contract.
Yeah.
So, but other than honorable and anybody that's general discharge and or honorable, there may be potential benefits for that spouse and or dependent children. So, children under the age of 23 still in school and not married, and then children that were disabled prior to their 18th birthday. If they're receiving Social Security supplemental income, they may be entitled to veteran benefits the rest of their life.
Wow. So it's best to even if you doubt or don't think, it's best to contact that VSO so they can definitely let you know about the benefits you might be entitled to.
Yes.
Um, so but let's talk about the benefits. Do you know what are some of the benefits that widowers will receive?
Okay. The one that all these things change all the
Hmm.
time. Since I left being a CVSO back in 2019, they changed the funeral and plot allowance regulations. It used to be the veteran had to be rated, even if they were rated 0% for very mild hearing loss in service. They were still entitled to a funeral and plot stipend, and it used to only be a couple $100s. Now, any veteran can receive their surviving spouse and or their executor of the estate if the estate is paying for their funeral and plot, or if their son or whoever, anybody paying toward a veteran's funeral and or plot, and that's not in a veteran cemetery, that isn't going to be reimbursed. If the son is going to be reimbursed through the estate, then it's not truly coming out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Okay. But the estate executor could apply. So that could be $978 a month toward the funeral bill, and, or not per month, but a one time payment. and up to $978 for the plot and interment cost.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a significant amount of money.
That is definitely, and every, when it comes to, tragic events like this, well, death is a part of our life's journey. So I won't say tragic events, but it's sad, that every penny counts. Every penny counts. So it's good to know that uh, things have changed for the better.
Yes.
Things have definitely changed for the better. Now, I was thinking about if there was a checklist, and I thought you said there wasn't a checklist, but you did have, because it would be nice, in
Right.
my opinion, to have, okay, what do you do, for what are the list of tasks for the surviving spouse? Just lay it out really simple. It would be easy to have. But you said that there was a book, so tell us a little bit about that.
Right. You can call the VA 800-827-1000. Be on hold from hell. Uh, Telephone number. You can check with your local VSO too, because I used to get the booklets by the box
Okay.
and keep them in my office. The VA has a Planning Your Legacy, or you can just tell them you want the Survivor Benefits book, and they will send you this book in the mail. And it's not only going to cover the benefits, but it's also going to show you examples of the forms that you're going to need to fill out so you can gather that information ahead of time. So, and it's going to help you decide, are you a spouse that's automatically going to get the $2,000 funeral stipend because of a service related death? Or are you going to receive the 978?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it walks you through every benefit. Who's going to order that flag for you? In some states, the funeral directors do it. In our state, we ordered them. Our funeral director would bring us the form, and we kept extras in the office so that they would give us a form, we give them a new flag for the next guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to, or we still do. Our state offices or county offices all order medallions that are on a stick to hold the flag for Memorial Day.
Oh, wow.
So every time a funeral director came in, we handed them a new one so they could place it next to the headstone so everybody knew that there was a veteran there. We would
Mm-hmm.
also help the widow order either the bronze plaque, the large one, or the small one, or the medallions that you now have. Just recently, I noticed when we put out flags the Saturday before Memorial Day that we have a veteran in a columbarium, and it says that he was Air Force, but no one's ever ordered the medallion.
Oh,
He
yeah.
may not have had a surviving family member nearby that could come in and do this for him. So we will have the veteran organization and or this VSO can order that. The only cost on these bronze markers and things like that that are attached to the headstone is the cost to get the stone drilled so that they can be placed. In the case of indoor places like crypts and stuff like that, they can super glue them on. So Um, depends on the situation. It may not cost you anything, and it may cost you everything. So, and those plaques are $1,000, the large plaque. But the VA
Wow.
will provide that for free. And if the widow's gone, or if the veteran received like a Purple Heart or Medal of Honor or something like that, there is space on one line at the bottom. So, in order to save the family money, the spouse had been cremated, and then when the veteran passed, he was going to be placed in the plot with her buried on the same plot. So they didn't have the funds for a headstone, and they didn't want one of the government ones because around here, weather-wise and everything, it's pretty rough on those headstones. So we said, and they had to have something flat. So we said, okay, you cover the cost of a small cement slab, and we'll get that large bronze marker, and it will have mom's name and date of birth and date of death. So it'll acknowledge that she's there with him.
That's interesting because can we dive a little deeper into getting buried in the same plot?
Oh, it's very common. And it's very common also if there's mom and dad, they have a headstone with both their names on it, and then a son passes, maybe that doesn't have the funds for their own plot and headstone. A lot of times they'll be placed either between the parents or on top of one or the other. So then we would get the smaller marker, and if there's room on the front of the headstone, they'll place it on the front, or we'll have it placed on the back. But that allows us, as people putting out flags, to say, oh, wait a minute, here's a headstone with a bronze marker and no flag holder. The bronze marker tells us who's there that's a veteran. So we can then go ahead and put a new flag holder and flag up for them.
That is so. Now I have a question. So I'm not sure if it's kind of still in the same vein. So if you can get buried in the we're talking plots, and so like the military cemeteries, like like Arlington National Cemeteries and the ones we have all over the U.S. So if the spouse dies first or passes away first, are they allowed to be in that same plot?
It depends on the cemetery.
Okay.
The national ones, there's not that many, quote, national headstones or
Yeah.
cemeteries, but there's a lot of state run. Our state has 3, and last I knew, they were in the process of creating a 4th one. So a lot of states have veteran cemeteries, but they go by their state laws. So,
Okay.
yes, widows of veterans can be buried in veteran cemeteries in most states.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's adjoining plots, a plot right next to theirs.
Hmm.
You can actually reserve your place at national cemeteries and at veteran cemeteries, which is kind of how
Wow.
they keep ahead of always having space. So, and in most states, the widow can be placed either on the same plot or in an adjoining one. So check into that.
Yeah.
You can arrange everything ahead of time, but
Yeah.
you can't order the headstone or the
Yeah. Let's not do that.
you can't order those because we don't know when you're going to pass. So
Right.
we can't make that up ahead of time.
And Jane, I just feel like this conversation is so important, and it's like I said earlier, death is a part of life's journey, and so many people, I don't want to talk about it, but when I was looking down, I thought I had one of those planning guides. I thought I had one of those planning guides. I have one, but it wasn't where I thought it was. But it's we need to look at death like we look at life. Plan for it. It's going one thing you cannot do in life, and that's get out alive. Right?
Yep, that's for sure.
Right.
And
And it's
things change.
yeah,
That,
that's
that that funeral stipend thing changed in 2014. Started changing, and it's developed further along the way. So if it's been 10 years since you got a legacy planning guide, it probably is a good idea to give the VA a call and get a new one.
yeah, and we'll put that 800 number. What did you call that? The what to hell? The
Yeah,
whole
hold from hell.
hold from hell. Yeah. And so we'll get that 800 number put in the comments and in the description so you can check with your local VSO. But I really thank you for coming on and talking about this, because we have to make death or preparation for it a common conversation. So many times a lot of people, they don't know, and we don't want them to, especially our veterans and their families, to just be on the short end of the stick, miss out on potential benefits, or just say they don't want to deal with it. Because if you have the information now, and I'm sure in that planning guide, it's going to show you how to prepare for you to become the surviving spouse.
And it's a good thing to have. It's a good conversation starter.
Yeah.
Do you want an open casket? Do you not want an open casket if it's, you know, proper to have one? A badly wounded person may not want one.
Yeah.
Or one that has become emaciated due to disease or something like that may say, no, I don't want a viewing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The time is gone. Oh my goodness. Any final words?
Yes. If your veteran had any type of service or even major illness, especially if they served during a wartime because of chemical exposures in service, reach out to your VSO. You may be entitled to a monthly benefit. Spouses, surviving children, whether it's through the Wartime Veterans and Surviving Spouses Pension Program, or whether it's through the Dependent Indemnity Compensation. You may be entitled to all sorts of things. So please, when your veteran passes, it's worth that phone call. It's a tough conversation sometimes. I used
Yeah.
a lot of Kleenex in my office, but it's so important to know that.
Thank you for those words. Thank you for being a guest. And as always, this is Shero Metro Tea that I'm enjoying today. And the tea is going to be online really soon. This is our peppermint. As always, keep your heart strong and your coffee and tea, Shero. See you next time.